Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer? Here. Trustee Carter?
Here.
Trustee Grant?
Here.
Trustee Tate?
Here.
Trustee Todd? Here. And Trustee Zupan? Here.
I'll accept the motion to recess to executive session for pending litigation. I'll accept the motion.
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Todd, second by trustee Brewer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Carter? Yes. Trustee Grant? Yes. Trustee Tate? Trustee Todd? Yes. Trustee Zupan? Yes.
Motion is carried. We'll resume in a few minutes. We will reconvene. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brewer? Here. Trustee Carter? Here. Trustee Grant? Trustee Tate? Trustee Todd? Here. Trustee Zupan? Here.
Okay, first item, trustee Zupan.
Thank you. That'll wake you up. All right, so I would like to introduce Karen Mullins, who's come tonight to join us. I met Karen at IML this year and subsequently met with her to talk about website options. As you all know, our website is in dire need of a major overhaul. And as I started to look at what her organization could do for us, I was intrigued as I was looking at other communities, organizations, or websites, and who was doing theirs and what theirs looked like and how it compared to ours. And I was doing a lot of digging and I was like, gosh, there's so much work to be done to get ours cleaned up, current, just overhaul. And, you know, I started looking at different companies and how to go about doing this and what was the best way of doing it. And it can be a rabbit hole really fast. So what I did was I reached out to Karen, I met with her, she did a presentation, she put a deck together, a proposal actually, which you guys had in your decks prior to tonight, a proposal and a licensing agreement, which you had ahead of time to review prior to tonight. And when she's done with the presentation, we can go over questions if you have them. But what she's here to do tonight actually is do a presentation that you have in your blue folders that she's going to do right now as soon as I shut up. So Karen, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. So if you can't hear me, let me know. I'm not used to having this so close. So hands up if you can't hear me, and then I'll speak a little bit louder. So tonight, thank you. Everybody has a pair of socks, I should say. Trustees have a pair of socks in front of them. That's our acronym, Simplified Online Communications. And that's just basically saying that to use our websites, you have to have two skill sets. Be able to do an email or a Word doc. And that is it. That's the only skill set you're going to need to know. All the rest of the technology is buried on the back side. This is designed for smaller communities to be able to post their own information. So departments, you'll be able to post your own information, and as it should be, because you're the closest to that information, you'll know when it should go up, when it should come down, how often you'll need to change it. So that's near and dear to your heart versus handing it off to somebody else and asking them to post it when their plate is already full. So this is going to give you some leeway to really design and do your own department facilitating. These are a couple of the highlights that we're going to go over. Each department will be capable of posting their own data. So as we go through these, I have a PowerPoint that we're going to address. So I'm just going to move on. It's easy and intuitive to use SOCs, posting the information. As you'll see here, the icons where I'm pointing them out, that's really from Word. So if you know Word or if you know how to do an email, you'll be able to do your own information. What's nice about using SOCs is each article or each story that you're going to tell is basically set with a beginning date and an end date. That means that you can stack your articles. Let's just say you have 4 or 5 of them with a beginning and an end date. Once you put those dates in there, they will go up on your site by themselves according to the date and the end date. They'll come down by themselves. So that's what drives your articles by those beginning and end dates. Another way to post information, you're going to be getting a free website app. You'll be able to post on the go. Let's just say you guys have a lights parade coming up, I think on Saturday. So if somebody's standing on the curb taking a little video of that light parade, you from that curb post that right from the curb to your website. You don't have to be in front of a laptop. You can do it right from your smartphone. Again, same technology, same way that you do your website, you'll be able to do it right on the go with your phone. So that's a free app. I should say everything that I'm talking about, all these different features and benefits, it's in one single price. So everything's going to be covered in the price. There's no add-ons that we're going to be charging you extra for. We're a nonprofit. We don't believe in that. We're going to be one price, and all your enhancements are going to be free from here on out should you decide to go with SOCs. So everything we do new, this was an enhancement that we released last December. Nobody paid for it. They all got it free. Economic development. This is an area that a lot of people, I should say, in smaller cities and villages that really are trying to drive this area of economic development. And the only way you'll be able to do that is to highlight your businesses. And so it'll be easy using SOCs for anybody to find those businesses on your website, and they won't have to be calling you and asking you questions about it, because once they select a business, you can highlight and click on that business. It'll take it right to their website if they have one available. But this is designed to really promote the businesses in your area. The next thing you'll be able to do is each department will have a contact area. So let's just say we've got an example here of streets and sidewalks. Let's just say a constituent is walking about and there might be a hole out there that they feel concerned about. And they could go to the site and go to the department for sidewalks and streets, and they can voice their concern there, and then they post their information. So this would go to that department. Let's just say there's a billing department for water. Water, you can have your own section there where people can ask questions about billing. So everybody will have a section where this information will come directly to you. It won't go into a central database for questions. It'll come right to the department that owns those issues. And the next one is the calendar. The calendar is one of the things that people love about going in and using SOCs once they're accustomed to learning how to use it. And it's super easy. You can have as many calendars as you want. So each department, you can have your own calendar. It's going to roll up under the village calendar. So you can make each department can be a different color. And constituents can go in and they can mark the things that they want to their calendar. We talked about the lights parade coming up on Saturday, and they want to make sure that they attend that. They can go to your calendar and download it to their phone, and then they will have that notification for that event coming up. You will get a free mobile design of your website. So there's varied ways that you can do that design. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. We'll give you different ways that you can construct the viewing. But it's, once again, it's one of those things where it's keeping you connected to the community through the smartphone. Everybody's living on their smartphones. They want to do everything through their smartphones now. So you're just going to reach out now and connect with them through that way. So this is the latest technology, is basically doing stuff for yourself, posting to your website, and then providing information and content to your constituents. Your website is going to be ADA compliant. That's American Disabilities compliant. And what that means is your site will be able to have a visual reader compatible website. The problem that visual readers have or visually impaired is they can't see a lot of colors, especially if you're doing a picture. So what you have to do is basically label your pictures, but when it comes to your font and all of the different things that makes it ADA compliant, we're going to help you out. We go through each one of our clients, through each quarter we go through each one of our clients, I should say, and we double check to make sure you are compliant. Now, as you're creating that article to go out, we're talking about the board minutes, you can click a little icon to make sure everything's ADA compliant on there. Let's just say something's not, maybe the font size is too small, it'll tell you font size too small and give you the recommended font size. So you can kind of double check yourself before it goes out there, but it's one of those things where ADA compliancy has hit really big in the K-12 market and in municipalities just because of the users are using so much of their phones. And so this is one of the things that we want to make sure we help keep you up to date on. Some of the things about Sauks, again, we are a nonprofit, so that means unlimited training. I don't care how many people are going to be posting information, we will train now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it does not matter, it's unlimited. So it's unlimited pages too. There are some companies out there who will charge you for how many pages are on your website. You're unlimited. Your pictures are unlimited. I don't care how many pictures you put out there or articles. So rest assured, put your content out there and don't be afraid. When your content is, we talked about the beginning and end date, when that end date rolls around, it goes into an archive. So that archive is always available for your constituents to find those articles that they might have seen 3 or 4 weeks ago. They can still find it. The other thing that you'll want to know is every 3 years, you will have a free design offered to you. So you can do this first design. In 3 years, we'll probably have 9 to 12 new designs. You can choose a whole new design. All you do is pick out your colors, and we move the content over for you in that 4th year. So this is really for people who are going to be setting up this design. I just want to let you know that we're there to support you in every way possible. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd love to hear some questions that you might have.
Let me just jump in here with some other comments before I let you guys ask questions. So you didn't get to see this, but there are oodles of different design formats available. Some are more mobile friendly than others. Certainly we would want to use a format that is mobile capable so that we don't have, and actually one of the things they offer too is the ability to have an app, so that if we wanted to have, an Android or app on the Apple or Android phones, that we could do that. Well, that's totally unnecessary. Just getting our website current and clean and crisp and pristine would be just such a better place than where it's at today, in my opinion. But in addition to not having limits on pages, there's no size limitations. And to Karen's point, they archive absolutely everything. So every single ordinance, every single resolution since the beginning of the village, we would have the ability to have out there. All minutes, all agendas, everything would be out there. Financial information, everything would be able to be clearly identified. One of the things I especially like about this ability is every department head will have their own access to this. We will be able to give them their own usability so that, I'll pick on Kevin. If there's a water main break, he will be able to pick up his cell phone, log in, put a breaking news article out there, water main break on, Sauk Trail in Torrance, boil alert for the next 36 hours, put the time that he wants it to post and how long he wants it out there, hit enter, poof, it goes out onto the website. It will be out there live on the website as a news article out there for everybody to see on the website. It becomes our mechanism of communicating with the world. There's no need for and we can still have social media, but it becomes our social media. There's an interface with social media if we choose to do that. We can still do that, but I'll tell you that's a down the road after we get this up and running. There's also an interface with email. Karen didn't even talk about that too. We can have the articles linked to emails and send those out. I did say that correctly, didn't I?
Yes.
There's a slew of stuff we can do after we get this stuff figured out. And so there's a lot of technology behind what she has said here. She's just hit the tip of the iceberg. So it's, you know, I've asked her to give the presentation to everybody here with the packs. She's also got packs for all the department heads, and I'm going to ask the mayor, if we choose to move forward with this, to let me go to the next department head meeting and talk to the department heads about this, so that we can show them what we want to give them the capability of doing when we've got it up and running, so that they can have the ability to put police activity, to say, hey, this has happened on such and such street, and this activity, be aware, you know, or the fire department's got this going on, and they want to put this out there on the site, so that we've got no reliance on Gerald. And the other cool thing with the support that these guys offer, they're out of Nebraska. They don't have someone in another country that's answering the phone when you call at 10 o'clock at night to say, I'm having a problem, I'm trying to put an article out here, and I'm confused, and I forget what I was doing, can you help me please? They're going to answer the phone and help you and get you what you need so that you can finish that up and get that taken care of right away. So they are here to help us. Sauk is part of the Foundations for Educational Services organization. Karen will tell you time and time again, they are a not-for-profit. They do more schools than they do municipalities. If you go to their website, they, I think, probably started doing schools.
We did 32 years ago, started with the schools, and it was in the last 5 years that the school districts had their cities contact us to say, hey, you're doing the schools, can you do ours? You know, we're just as small as a school, or just as big as a school. And so we reached out to the municipalities 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I think this is a great starting point for us to get the website up and where it needs to be, in my opinion. So I'm going to shut up now and let you guys ask questions, if you have questions.
I do have a question. What requirements, if any, do we have to be in compliance with as far as IT?
You don't. This is all web-based. So you don't have to have any compliances as far as, because everything's hosted on our servers. So it's unlimited. So you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no software that we have to purchase?
Nope. You're all web-based. So that means that you could go home and got that article you wanted to do, you could do it at home now, because you could just open your laptop and do it, or do it on your phone. Mm-hmm.
Now, with you were talking about the department heads getting notification. In other words, if a citizen says, you know, I have this on my block or whatever, would that department head have to answer that person? I mean, they're not going to go on the website and answer that general question.
Right. It goes right to the department, and the department would reply. You would have to set the precedence on that, just to say, how would you like that responded to, but that capability is there? Absolutely. So you might have one person in each department that would be manning those questions coming in, or those concerns.
But how would I get back to that person that actually...
They will be giving you their email address, so you'll reply back through that way. Yeah.
So there's one admin app, or there's an admin app for each?
Each one of you.
Each one.
Each one of you will download it from Apple or Android to your phone. Absolutely. And there's an 800 number, just like Beth was talking about, that you can call at any point in time and ask any questions to our support staff. So don't feel like it's something where you got to run it through somebody internally. Absolutely not. And we do webinars, we do trainings in addition to that. So just grab a Coke or a coffee and just listen to one of our webinars. And so We try to reach out as far as we can to help you individually, so you're not coming to one individual person within the village.
And so is there a contract, so it's a 3-year contract
Is it a 3-year contract? Yes.
with the option
To renew?
to renew it at the same price?
Yes. Good questions, thank you.
How much did you, a year? And what's the time frame to get everything up and started?
We can have it up in 30 days, but that's basically getting the shell of your site and putting all your different departments where they are. That's not including how long it would take for you to move your content currently, as we're talking about, to the new site. But we can have that shell available for you in 30 days.
Who will be the contact person here at the village? I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Thanks. Who will be the contact person here in the village?
I'm not aware of that just yet.
No, you, what? Yeah,
And this,
and we haven't decided on the contact person, we
yeah.
say. Oh, okay.
So this price that we see here, that's what we're charging each year, that's not gonna go up. And we're locked in for 3 years.
You're locked in for 3 years, yep. And all the enhancements that you're gonna get over the 3 years, you're not gonna be paying for. So we could do another app of some sort, and you would still get that for free. Mhm.
Well, after the 3 years, that doesn't automatically renew, does it?
It can go into Evergreen if you wanted it to. We give you that choice. So 8 months prior to the expiring of your first contract, we'll send you a renewal notice. If you don't sign it, we treat it as Evergreen, but if you want to sign it and say, yes, we're going to do this for 3 years, because signing it that second time around, going into that 4th through the 6th year, that gives you the capability to do that new website where you can change it out. Because we actually, you know, I'm not ashamed to say this, we don't make any money until the second year of a contract. So all of our labor, all of our designers and everything, we don't recoup anything until at the end of our second year.
Any other questions?
Any more? Thank you for your time this evening, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Mayor, before we move on, I would ask that we put this on next week's agenda to be voted on.
I just have a quick question though. Where is this coming out of in our line item in our budget?
You and I had talked about it coming out of the proceeds of, was it the laundromat for this year?
Yes. We'll come up with, we use that proceeds from the laundromat to pay, the money that we got reimbursed for cutting down and doing some of the grass and, landscape work and throughout the village. So we've got reimbursed for that, and when we get reimbursed, we put back into that fund.
Wasn't there something else coming out of the sale of that property?
That was for the civic upgrade.
Civic. Okay, Madam Clerk, put that on the agenda for next week. Okay, item number 2, Trustee Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the agenda, 2 ordinances that need to be brought before you. The first one is the false alarms. Is there any questions on it? We've gone through it, read it. We basically simplified it.
Looks like a different ordinance.
Yes, thank you, trustees, for bringing that up. And the one thing with the false alarm, if you've gone through it, once we pass it, it then goes to the police department, it's up to them to enforce it. The chief is advising he's going to have a letter that will accompany, like, the warnings. You know, if you, look at the fines, you get two in a year. And it starts January 1st of each calendar year, so it's not like they're gonna bring this ordinance back up to us January of the following year. Starting January 1st, this is, they'll get a warning letter. So the chief is working on the warning letter. If there's 3 false alarms, now they're going to get a warning letter and a ticket. And it'll be $50. And then if there's 4 in a year, they get a warning letter, a ticket, it goes up to $100. 5 or more in that year, it goes up to $250. So then, of course, if they don't come in and pay the ticket for the $50, it goes up to $750 is what they'll be fined. So I don't know if you have any questions on this. We've taken a lot of stuff out that didn't apply to us.
Does the chief keep the record now?
Right, well, I can tell you that Calcom, listening to some of the calls, I'll tell you how many times, the officer said how many times we've been at this address for a false alarm. Now, a false alarm, it would be, if your alarm goes off and they try to contact you, then your alarm company is going to call you first. They don't call directly into the police department. And they can't get a hold of you and they send an officer out, that's a false alarm. Now, if the alarm goes off and you say, please send an officer, that's not a false alarm. Because you said, would you please send them out? But if your alarm company can't get hold of you, you'd be amazed how many. You hear the same address, the alarm company can't get anyone. And I know my alarm company, I have 2 or 3 names on there. They can't get either, they go to the next one. So are there any questions on this one?
So the chief has committed to
Right.
keeping this.
The chief he brought this to us because there's so much of it. You know, our officers spend quite a bit of time on false alarms.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks light years different than what you had before. I thought it looked good. Minor comment was just to run through, capitalize the V, it's inconsistent here on village. Some places it's capitalized, others it's not. And then on page 4, there's the lined out word city, middle of the page, that just needs to get removed, that's all.
Right, and I think that this is what they sent out to us, so once we finalize it, that'll all be corrected. Any more questions on that? And then if we can have that on the agenda next week to be voted on. And the next one you have before us is the occupancy fees. And you'll see that it's lined up because this is where they gave it to us, but once it's finalized, it will be, you won't see the lines in it. And raising the occupancy fees from $50 to $75, and then, like the apartments, they were $25, they're gonna go up to $30. So any units 6 or more will be $30 per unit. And that's all we're doing to this, ordinance. Just raising the fee. So is there any questions on that? Okay, can we have that on the agenda as well to be voted on next week?
That's it?
I was just waiting for a yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you. Next item, discussion and review of resolution approving intergovernmental agreement between Cook County and Sauk Village for the Invest in Cook grant.
Good evening, everybody. Yes. Does it work? Okay. All right, so the board has a copy of the resolution and the IGA from Cook County. This has been reviewed by legal department, as well as the Cook County, well, actually this is the IGA that was provided to us by Cook County. Just a little background. The village applied for a grant for Phase 1 engineering in the logistics center. This would include engineering, Phase 1 engineering for roadway expansion and rail spur expansion in the logistics center. Cook County gave us the grant, they awarded us the grant. The intergovernmental agreement spells out the terms and conditions of that grant. The grant is for $350,000. The village's match on that is $100,000. The $100,000 will be from the TIF funds that are available out of the 90-10. That's where we're primarily taking that from. So it's pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the intergovernmental agreement that we entered into with Cook County with respect to the 223rd Cornell project. It's basically spells out that the conditions of the grant. The grant has to be used and completed. Typically, we're looking at about a 18-month turnaround time. But the grant or the IGA would have to be completed, and after we receive the notice to proceed by December 31st of 2020. So we've got time to use it. I don't anticipate it taking that long, but nevertheless, that's what it's for. There's also a resolution that authorizes the mayor and village clerk to enter into and execute the intergovernmental agreement with Cook County. That's all I have on that.
Any questions?
I have a few questions. Just trying to get some understanding so we could talk about the $350,000 grant. Now, it's my understanding that this $350,000 grant is just for the engineering study. There's no actual work being, this is just for the study. And it's a grant that the Investment County awarded us for $350,000, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The grant was awarded to us to complete Phase 1 engineering study within the logistics center. Cook County's already provided a higher level overview of the engineering and layout, the potential layout for the rail spur as well as the roadway, as part of the Lincoln 394 logistic corridor study that they did, which took about 18 months for them to complete.
So the $100,000 is going to come out of TIF. Which TIF is that?
That would come out of TIF 3, which is the logistics center TIF.
Okay.
So that would be the area that's covered under that.
Okay. Now, facts are that there hasn't been any growth really, or lack of growth from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000 for this particular rail spurs in that area. What I'm concerned about is that we've invested a lot of money in there, even though it's a grant, that this might not be something that is going to benefit Sauk Village in the long run, because it has been sitting idle for quite some time. Now, it's my understanding that this is going to that this particular project is going to benefit CN railways. But however, what is the railway contributing? How much is they going to contribute to our to the TIFs, to get this project started? Once the study is over, are they going to contribute any money? That's my question.
Okay, well, respectfully, I have to disagree with you. This project and the development of the logistics center most definitely would benefit the village. And I also have to disagree with you on your perception that there has been no growth. The fact of the matter is that the village's financial gains out of TIF 3 have been far greater than they were just a few years back. We're actually able to cover the debt service on most of the TIF debt out of the TIF 3, as opposed to using the TIF 1 funds to cover that. So the bonds were issued at parity back in 2002, which means that TIF 2 and TIF 3 were covering those bonds. most of the bonds and the debt service are being covered out of TIF 3 exclusively, where TIF 1, that money is basically going to the developer, which is why we're doing the refunding and the additional money on the TIF funds. And as far as the railway benefiting from it, this isn't, the rail spur is not a main line for CN. So this is like developing an off-ramp, if you will, into a private property area. So the benefit is actually to the people that are looking to develop those areas within the logistics center. So that rail spur would service those users, not necessarily a direct benefit to CN, however, they would be servicing that line.
I understand it's not going to be a direct benefit to CN. I want CN to benefit Sauk Village. That's the goal. And if I'm not mistaken, and even in the budget report, it shows that there has been a lack of growth in that particular area since the late 80s and early 90s. That's a fact. It's actually in the budget where we mentioned that there's no lack in it. I'm saying this is a good idea. The $100,000 that we're taking out of the TIF 3 can be spent on something else other than into this idea of the growth when there hasn't been any for the last 20 or 30 years. However, you know, just to, if we're gonna get it, it's fine. So, but I'm just saying that we shouldn't be pumping this thing up to make sure that it's all good when there are some pitfalls, and we haven't had pitfalls for this particular area since the late 80s. There has been no growth, okay? We're gonna take the TIP money out of 3 and use it for something else, you know, for this particular project, when we could be, even if we're gonna use some stuff out of TIP 3, there's other things in TIP 3 that can be utilized, as I'm understanding. And the next question is, if the study that we're gonna do is gonna be less than $200,000, how much do we really have to contribute? Sauk Village just says contribution to, so how is that based on?
The way that I read the intergovernmental agreement is that the Cook County will actually be paying the first $350,000, and the remainder, if any, would be covered by the village. That's the way that IGA was written.
Well, and my last question is, it also indicates in here that if cost overruns, I'm just paraphrasing, goes over the allotted amount that it be added to the contract, so is it more money that Sauk Village has to come out of the TIP fund in order to take on if the contract exceeds the 350, so we have to pay that extra?
Right. If you look on, beginning at the very bottom of page 5, where it says it is agreed that the parties estimate the phase 1 engineering study for the project is $450,000. So that would be, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, that would be part of the request for qualifications that go out, is that we're not going to be paying more than $450,000 for the phase 1 engineering study. So the first $350,000 would come out of Cook County's funds. So they would approve and disperse those funds. They would disperse those funds directly to the consultant on the project. The remainder, if any, would be coming from the village directly.
Well, on page 7, it says to be added to the contract. That's actually on page 7.
Right, and that's if the village agrees to cover more than the $450,000. And I don't believe the
It's not
village board would be inclined to do that. So in the request for proposals, it does spell that out specifically. The intergovernmental agreement protects Cook County, meaning that they're only going to come up with $350,000. The village is on the hook if they want, a Cadillac, when you're buying, a Chevy with health.
But it doesn't specify that we have to take it. We have to pay. It just says it'll be added to the contract. That's my point I'm trying to make. They're saying that we, regardless of what happens, that we have to pay. we have to pay the extra amount. We should have some kind of vision here to protect us and say if we could only go to the certain amount. you see what I mean?
Right, and that would be spelled out in the request for qualifications and the final contract with the vendor,
Okay.
which would still need to be approved. This is an intergovernmental agreement with the county. We're joining forces with the county on this project, just like we did with the other.
So it's not in here, it's gonna be.
Right, it'll be spelled out in the specifics in the contract.
What role does Robinson Engineering, are they gonna play in this? Are they gonna, look at the bids for the,
That's a very good question. If I could have you hold on to that question until the next part of this.
oh, okay, so.
Because that has
we-
nothing to do with this.
Oh, I'm just
But-
curious.
but it's a
They-
good question.
Yeah, I'm just curious how they're gonna engineer, and my last question. Uh, I have to say this, but you have to follow my logic behind this. Recently, we're gonna, they're gonna do a $2.5 million refinancing for tips 2 and 3. Now, the $100,000 that you want to take for this intergovernment agreement, now that $100,000, we have some proceeds left out of that refinancing going to do. Is that going to be that $100,000, or do we already have $100,000 from the tip? Or do we already have $100,000 in the bank left on the tip? Or is that going to be coming out of the proceeds when we refinance tip 2 and 3 coming up soon? Do we already have that money, or is it going to?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so there's approximately 1.4 million in the TIF Reserve Redemption Fund. Okay.
Tip reserve.
Right. And what that is for is that it was set up in 2002 where the developer, BP Partners, takes 90% of that money. Okay? As part of the redevelopment agreement with the Logistics Center, BP Partners put down some $20 million in investments, in infrastructure. So as part of an inducement for them to do that, the village agreed at that time to do a split 90-10 on that disbursement for that. Additionally, the village actually, BP Partners also funded that reserve redemption fund, the tune of about 3.8 million or 3.4 million to cover the amount that we needed for the debt service coverage on it. So we have 1.25% coverage in there. They wrote a check, put that money in the village's account, so that way that money starts to flow to them on a 9-10 basis. So
Actually, where we stand with right now in tip 2 and 3, we have 1.3 million. Is that what you're selling?
in TIF 3, there's monies that are set aside to cover the debt service on those bonds that was put aside by BP Partners. So it's like 3.1 million.
It's 3 point.
It's not, it's inamalgamated, it's the village's money indirectly because it covers any shortfalls in the debt service.
So we really don't, you really don't know what the balance in the amalgamated account is.
Yeah, I
for
want to say
tips.
it's like, it's 1.3, 1.4 million.
1.3.
And that's the amount that's going to be dispersed to the village and to BP Partners on a 90-10 split.
Okay.
And that's, theoretically where this money would be coming from, it wasn't included in the original budget because that money was not really designated to be spoken for in the budget process. There's nothing out there, anyone else have anything?
Oh, other than who drafted this?
I'm sorry,
Who drafted this?
Cook County General Counsel.
Oh, the county, okay.
If I could, if there's no other questions on this, I'd like to have this for approval for resolutions by the board at the next village board meeting next week.
this would be for the intergovernmental agreement, correct?
Correct, the resolution. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, the next item is the, phase one.
Okay, so we just passed out, and I just had this completed. I apologize for not having this in your packets, but Cook County Legal and everyone has been going through this, so that way we know everything was done on this correctly. This is a request for qualifications or an RFQ for the preliminary phase one engineering with respect to the same project that we're talking about. Trustee Brewer asked, what does Robinson have to do with this? Right now, absolutely nothing. So the request for qualifications comes out because this is a Cook County project, but it's also, we wanted to gear this so it's available for federally funding opportunities for the actual construction phase of this. This is preliminary engineering, there's phase two engineering, and there's construction. So there's a process that this goes through. But we wanted to make sure that this would be eligible for any potential federal or state grants. So there's a process by which you procure engineering services at this level. So the request for qualifications does that. So what we're looking for in the request for qualifications are, engineering services, consultants for the phase one engineering, which would be for the final roadway, rail alignment, highway, rail, grade crossings, new intersection at Cottage Grove Avenue, geometrics, and other profiles that we're looking for within the RFQ. And in addition to this, the study that we're looking to do will also identify a funding plan on how phase two engineering and construction of the $25.2 million project will be done. So that's part of the request that Cook County put out when we put the Invest in Cook grant and the intergovernmental agreement together, is that the consultant that's eventually hired to do this will have to spell out and identify how this is going to be funded, how we can move forward to phase two and construction. So the scope of the services are identified. The deliverables to the county and to the village are also identified. The requests for qualifications, SOQs are also identified. We also have an evaluation and a scoring method on how we're going to choose the consultant on this project. And I kind of just want to touch on that. Once we have the responses from the potential consultants or engineering firms, we will do a scoring process on this. What will the experience of the consultants of the firm, particular type of projects as described, they'll get 25 points for that. Technical approach will have an additional 25. Experience of the consultant, the firm, project process for the phase one portion of the engineering will get 25 points for that. Current capacity to accomplish the work within the required time frame, there's 15 points for that. Working knowledge of the logistics center, there's 10 points of that. So we're looking for someone that's a little bit familiar with the logistics center, Sauk Village, that kind of thing. But we want to open this up to as many as we can, but we want to pick the right one. We don't want to have someone that's not very familiar with what we have here. So once we go through that process, we will share that information with Cook County. They will be privy to all of the ones that put in the request for qualifications. They will give their input back to the staff, and then we'll make a final recommendation to you. At that time, we will begin working on development of the contract with the consultant in accordance with Cook County's requirements for the IGA, and then the contract will be let at that point, and that process will begin we're probably looking at sometime in January or February before we actually get to that phase. Any questions?
Have we let the other engineering services know that this is ready? I see we have a month until the submissions are due. So is it out there already? Do engineering services know about this yet?
No, they do not, and they will not. I don't anticipate that will be a problem. Typically, engineering firms can put an RFQ together in a few days, so it shouldn't take that long for them to do that, but we did put it out there beyond a 30-day time frame. If the village board is okay to move forward with this, we can approve the RFQ at next week, post it on the village's website, and put it out with SSMMA, as well as letting our own village engineer know, and anyone else that was experienced or had any knowledge with the logistics center. Baxter and Woodman also was very familiar with the logistics center. They were a long-time engineer on the logistics center as well. So I'm sure they'll have an interest, and we'll probably put it out. But we'll see who actually does. Well, I mean, right. There's other ones as well. So you're also talking about engineers that are experienced with rail. Both Baxter and Woodman and Robinson Engineering would have to, consult on that and hire a rail engineer out there too, because there's only a couple of rail engineers out there that are experienced at putting together this kind of information.
And my last question is that I noticed in here, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, you said the village staff will evaluate these different items, and I don't know anybody on the staff who's qualified to take on engineering projects like this.
Right,
Yeah.
We're not going to be evaluating engineering on this. What we're going to be looking at are the overall qualifications, and if they are scored based on the technical criteria that we put together on the scoring method. So we're not going to be looking at specific engineering schematic stuff like that. We're just looking at the requisite information that's there. So
Who's putting that together?
right now, I had asked the mayor and we discussed it internally that it would be myself and Ms. Judy Sutphin. She also worked with me on the scoring for the bids for the sale of the property as well when we scored those.
So you guys have expertise in that area, in those areas relating to the rails and engineering and all that sort of stuff?
As I said, we're not going to be evaluating engineering. We're going to be evaluating the information that's coming over from the engineer with respect to their expertise and their the technical information that they put forth together. It's going to be limited to 25 pages. It's going to have their overall experience and what they've done on projects in the past is what we're going to be looking to evaluate. We're not going to be evaluating any engineering or any data like that. That's something that would come much later, but we're not going to be evaluating that for the purposes of deciding for the recommendation of who we're going to hire for the consultant on the project.
Any other questions? For the RFQ, Madam Clerk, we put that on the agenda to go out for an RFQ for the phase 1 engineering study.
So that'll be on the agenda for approval?
Yes.
Okay. And just so you know, we will not proceed on any of this until the Cook County Board approves the IGA and we get a notice to proceed. So this will be out there, but until we get to that point, until we get a letter acknowledging that yes, you're approved and going to proceed, nothing will be approved, nothing will move forward at that point. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Roger Grant, so I'm going to step the board usual policies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, brought this back to the board. I think you guys seen it maybe a month and a half ago or so now. Ran it by Drill. We decided that it should be best to change the terminology a little bit. So instead of saying cybersecurity, we call it the acceptable usage policy. And pretty much it just lays out just policies that we don't have in place currently that we should have in place in regards to certain issues of cybersecurity and some of the IT issues that we have here. The only thing that's missing out of this, and which we will go back and revise at a later date, is that when it comes to what kind of access will certain individuals have. And the reason why it's not listed here now is because that we'll be getting the civic system in January, roughly maybe February or so, and then we'll go back and then after we get the new system and we determine who has access to what, then we'll amend this. But pretty much it's almost similar to the last one. It's kind of just some do's and do nots for individuals in regards to viruses, software, working off site, protecting your locking your computer, et cetera, et cetera. So hoping that you guys had a chance to look it over already. That was in your packets. Do you have any questions already, or anything that jumps out at you as of yet?
I just had one comment.
Yeah.
If we could just please, on the last page,
Mm-hmm.
under monitoring and filtering, in parentheses, that says under certain conditions, I would ask that we would remove that. I think we've got the right to always be able to audit at any time, not under certain conditions, so I would ask that that get removed. And then the other thing was, maybe I missed it, I could be wrong, I was like overwhelmed with all the reading we had for this week at some point, but if someone suspects that there's a virus infection of the device, that they immediately stop using that device and notify their manager, supervisor, and contact IT so that they don't further infect anything else, if we would just add that to this, so as not to spread that virus or whatever it might be. That's it.
I have a question. Do we have any kind of firewall, Trustee Grant, that we could get, that would, we could put on the IT to keep us from, how can I say it, attaching it to other Gmails or other Yahoo accounts or anything like that? Do we have firewall? This goes to Trustee Zupan's question. Do we have some kind of firewall that we can install to, is that possible?
I mean, I guess I don't. So what exactly are you trying to stop or to prevent?
Well, I mean, I'm looking for like, I noticed on here on the second page, it says, for example, Village of Sauk Village mail to personal email accounts. So that's like standard these days. So is there any kind of way we could use, like, we use it, because a lot of things I do, like send it to my Gmail too, to make sure I get a copy of it. Because a lot of things I get from Village doesn't come through. But is there any way we could put some kind of, I don't know if we call it a firewall?
I get what you're saying. So you're saying that is there any kind of way that we can prevent forwarding official Sauk Village email or anything to personal accounts?
Right.
There's something I was talking to Gerald, been talking to Gerald about. If there's like something that he can get as a pop-up or an alert or something that says that, oh, Trustee Zupan tried to forward this to her personal account. So that's something that we've been talking about. We're looking into it, but I think that's definitely a good point because we should not be forwarding any official Sauk Village emails, things that are our Sauk Village email to our personal account. So I'll definitely add that when we go back and amend it, but that's definitely a good point. Thank you.
I would just ask, you might want to push the issue with Gerald, because personally, I wouldn't want to be sending stuff to my Gmail account, because that opens you up that somebody could FOIA your personal email because you're doing that. And if it were me, I wouldn't want to be in that position. So really consider that before you.
That's why I asked.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not only me, that's everybody.
I don't do that
Okay.
for that very reason. I don't want anything on my personal email. It sticks with saukvillage.org.
Well, yeah, that's what they
So
should
if
be
you
doing.
think you're not getting stuff, you need to push the issue to Gerald.
Any other questions in regard to, are you looking to have this put on, or are you, is this?
I am looking to have this put on the agenda to be voted on, and then also know that there will be amendments made in the future, once, we do have the new civic system, in place. And we can go back and we can, talk about access for different, individuals.
Well, the way it's written now, you want this
Yes,
policy to be, put on, and then we can amend as needed?
correct.
We have this on the agenda for next week, and it would be just like this, correct?
Yes.
All right, next item, Madam Clerk, ours for students. Oh, you got it.
We need this.
The residual, Mr. McLean.
Good evening, everybody.
Prior to his presentation, though, I would like to say all of that material, that meeting that you all had for last week, I'm going to ask that you hold on to that material because it's not going to change. So therefore, I will not be printing it again for your packets. This is your packet for next week. Now, on to a lighter there. Oh, Mr. Mayor, sorry. To something lighter. There's quite a bit of business tonight that is relative to the village. What I would like to bring to you is a gentleman who's going to talk to you about something that we can do for our youth in the village. I first met this gentleman when he gave a 3-minute public comment over at the school district. And I was very impressed with what he stated. And I informed the school district at that time that I would be inviting Mr. Mack to speak with you, simply because the program that he would have would really impact all of our students, whether they attend School District 168 or the Sandridge District or the Staggers District. I think that it's something that we should or could open to all of our youngsters that's in the village. And just so that you know, prior to the actual invite, I did communicate with our trustee, and he acknowledged that we would be moving forward. This would not be my program. It's just something that I think that you all would be very interested in. And not to steal your thunder, but I want to tell them on the front end, it will not cost us a penny. Go forward.
Hi, how's everybody doing? So my name is James Mack. I am the Executive Director for Arts for Students. We are at the Theatrical Mentoring Program. So we train students in the area of theater, so all areas of theater, from dance to drama to set design to filming and editing. And we train them for 10 weeks, and then we put on the production. So our whole program. Is this better? Oh, this is like, okay. So our entire program is production based. So we train the students. They put on a show. They usually do a winter performance and they do a spring performance, and everything is really about the production. Like we celebrate the kids, so they put on a production for the community to come out and celebrate what they've learned and what they've accomplished. So every year the shows get better and better. So we introduce them to the area that they're interested in. We have a survey that we send out to the students to see what they're interested in. Then we get the surveys back, and then based on the survey, we know what programs to put in the area. It's a really simple program. Everything is pretty much ticket-based, and it's based on appearance. So our program usually holds about 20 kids per discipline. So the drama program, so it's 20 kids per instructor. So I don't even know. We are located on the south side of Chicago. We've done programs in Riverdale, Country Club Hills, CICS, Longwood, CICS Basil, Carver Military Academy. We have a list of different shows that we put on, depending on what the community may need. We're getting to a point where the children involved in the program can kind of decide which type of program they would like to put on. If they wanted to do something like Beauty and the Beast, and we design it where it talks about bullying, or if they wanted to do something, we did a Teenage Christmas Carol, and we talked about date rape. We take noticeable dramas, and we kind of change them to fit the format as to what's going on. If we wanted to talk about voting or anything like that, we just put it in the production. We do PSAs. We just come out and we use this platform to mentor students, to teach them, character, commitment, teamwork. I'm a playwright, so I had a contract to do stage plays with the Department of Health for 5 years. So I wrote stage plays based on AIDS, HIV, cancer, and it was really about getting the community together and giving them information about how early detection saved lives. And I did it for 5 years, and when I was doing it, I just noticed that it took a team of us to pull it off. I also noticed what I had to pay everybody. So the cameraman made $200 an hour, the stage director may have made $500 an hour, and I thought that maybe if we can teach young people these skill sets, everybody may not be going to college, but they can still make a decent living, doing some things in the area of theater, so it's a lot of different areas that they can dive into and do well in, and also have a career in. So it's a really good program. We use professionals and college students to do our program. So we have people come back from school and train our students. We use people that's in the industry to come out and train different students as well. So it's a very good program to introduce kids to, and then it's also a program where they can grow into. So it's not about them doing a great show, it's more about them having the courage to come out and do the production and then grow to be great. So it's an introductory into something, and then we take them to different levels. So it's based on their maturity. We also are sponsors for the CACFP program. So that's a Michelle Obama program where we can feed all the kids in our program. So we currently feed about 2,000 kids a supper meal. We have a catering company called Just a Dash that we particularly use for ours, where they cook all the food daily, and then they deliver the food, and then we warm it up and we serve the kids a meal, a supper meal during our program. So we try to meet with the kids 2 hours a day, 2 days a week for the program, but the kids can come out to the location and eat 5 days a week. So it's a really good program.
I got a couple of questions. I saw some of your addresses that you are affiliated with. Would the program be somewhere else other than here? The kids would have to actually go to where the sites are?
That's a good question. So we would like to, we're working to send our instructors to the schools first. So we send instructors to the schools. So we're talking to the schools in Sauk Village, whether it be high school or elementary, to see if we can put a program in the school. And then we would like to put a program in the community center here and have the kids come over to the community center. So it's either or.
Is there a minimum amount that you will work with? In other words, if we only get, you said something like 20, we only get 10, but Is there a minimum amount that you would like to see?
Once we start a program, we finish that program. It's just really, so each program is 10 weeks. So once we start a program, the kids will put a production on at the end of the 10 weeks. What we love about our program is that we have about 7 different productions going on, and all the kids are doing the same script. So if we needed to fill roles or anything like that, we can pull other kids from other productions to fill it so that they can put on the show, and then we can grow the program. Usually we never have enough to when we start a program the first time. It's usually after they see the production that all the kids want to do the show after that.
And you said there was no upfront cost?
No, you guys just provide us the space to do the programming with the kid and the production, and then we take care of everything else.
Anybody else have any?
We provide our own insurance, so we insure the site of the locations, so we take care of that as well.
The night that I heard him, I turned immediately around and I informed the school board and the school that I would be inviting him to one of our meetings. And if they decide to go with it, that piece is fine. But I also know that we have students in Deer Creek, in Weatherstone, that does not benefit very often from anything that the village has to offer. So, as well as Bloom Township, the high schools rather. So I thought that if we brought it over here, it will still benefit the students from District 168, but it would be more inclusive of other youngsters that attend here as well. So they gave me Godspeed in terms of bringing it so that you could hear what the offering is. They did not commit to the program, nor did they mix the program. However, I just think about our community center and how so frequently it's just crying for some young people to be in there taking advantage of the space that we have. And I just thought, and as I said, I warned them, if I could steal them from the district, I'll be doing it. You know, if we could bring it here, I would do it here. Another thing about the school district, though, see if it's done there, then that means they would still have to have some staff there after their regular after-school program. So that would just sort of lengthen their overall day as well. So I just thought that the match is greater in the community center than at the school district.
Anybody else have any questions?
Particular age of the kids that you're focusing on?
Well,
Any at all?
the focus with the best age group to start with is middle school. That's a good age group to start with, but we take all ages. It's just about marketing, who we market to, because we don't mix ages. We may mix the production, so we may have a young dance team come and open the show to build their program up. Like if we want to do a drama, but it's different. So like we wouldn't have a film program at an elementary level. We would have a film program at a middle school because we don't want elementary kids dealing with cameras and things like that. So everything is age appropriate. But as far as what we do, we have a martial arts program for kindergarten all the way to high school. It's just we don't mix the martial arts programs.
What are you doing now?
The production we're doing now is
What are you doing now to market yourselves, to get your name and your public out there?
It's funny that you ask that because it's not about us. And that's what you'll learn about our shows. So even the tickets that the kids sell, for the production, they get half of the ticket price. So we're not doing anything to mark it up. It's really about coming and celebrating the kids. It's their show. It's really them, teaching them how to have a fan base if they really want to go into this industry. So I just go and I meet with different schools, and then usually I'll invite different superintendents or principals to come and see a show. Like you guys are all invited. We're doing the Nutcracker this year, and you guys can come and see the Nutcracker. And you'll see that it's about the real community, like the community of people that's around the school, the business, the off-duty cops, the firemen, just coming and saying, look, we're going to get together and we're going to celebrate our children. So that way the first time they meet is not because they like pulling them over or anything like that. You have a chance to just really meet the community again 2 times a year. So it's almost like a townhouse meeting.
Yeah, no, definitely understand. I'm just trying to figure out how can we help you get the word out there that it's something that you're doing for the community. Because I think it's great. Just what can we do? You know, whether it's social media or, you know, what are some things that you've already done that we can help you do so that way we can make it successful for you.
It's the kids. Like, I've never seen the show. We always have a packed house. Like, people just come out to see their kids. So if we can get in front of groups of kids, then that, like anything that you guys are already doing with kids, to let them know what we're doing, then I would say getting in front of kids and getting the kids involved. But we 100% depend on the legs of the kids to get it out. We even use their social media to put out the flyers and the tickets, everything. They put out everything for it. We teach them how to sell themselves so that they get like all the credit at the show.
Any other questions?
So I guess what I would want to know, can you hear me okay? No. I said no. What would be our next steps? I'm not certain if it's, you know, what would you like to see our next steps as we, or if we move towards a partnership with your organization? How do we proceed? Is this something that we should talk about offline? And then maybe with a couple more of the trustees and bring it back for a vote? I'm not certain what the process or procedure is.
So it's a contact. So I would need a contact that can show me the community center and then let me know like what hours we're looking at. One of the things with doing an off-site venue is the transportation of the kids getting to the venue. So we would have to set something up for them, and like maybe it's a busing system that we can send to the different schools to pick the kids up, and then the parents pick them up from. Cause like I would sit with one person, and we would just kind of plan out from the production all the way through the program how we would get the kids there, and then we would look at it's really. And we teach kids this as well, like if they're doing a production themselves, so we would go and look at the venue that we were going to have a production, see how many seats, so it would tell us how many tickets we need to sell, and all those type of things. I would just need a point of contact so we can walk backward through everything, and then we will write it out and then represent everything to you with actual dates and things like that.
Okay, that point of contact would be Trustee Carter right here. And so when you, I'm sure you have some type of, you have your card or whatever, that you get to him or vice versa, you have his number.
Your number is in?
It's in there, what you got?
Thank you, sir. This is well needed. It's like a slice of fruit. Yes.
Okay, is there any other questions before you get to work? Okay, we will be getting in touch with you soon. Thank you. The next item is a resolution designating an authorized agent to the IMRF, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. Person that we had that was doing that is no longer here, so I have to appoint someone, that person being Judith, the interim finance director. So she could be the one that will be answering all the questions and moving forward with the IMRF process for all the employees that are here in the village. So I'm asking the board to vote on this resolution next week at the board meeting. I'm sure everyone got a copy. Real short and sweet. Are there any questions?
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to say we can correct her name, the spelling of her name,
Yes, I saw that.
and then probably should say Judith. I don't care. I mean, it's up to her, but her last name definitely Judith.
Yeah, and it's not Judy, it's Judith. You're absolutely right.
Yes, it's spelled incorrectly.
But we will correct that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I should have been approved by the board.
Approved by the board to do what?
To be the director.
She's the interim director.
You appointed her. I asked
Okay.
if she has been approved by the
No,
board.
she hasn't, she's not the full-time director, she's the interim.
So she hasn't been approved.
You haven't voted on it, no? Okay. Any other questions? All right, public comments? Podium now. All questions and comments are directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the village business. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. You may not engage in debate or counter discussion, and I will listen to all comments, and I will respond at the end. Please state your name when you come up.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I had took my girlfriend to the doctor, and she for lupus. Comes to find out she didn't have lupus. She had H. pylori, which is in your stomach. It's a disease that's in your stomach from the water, from Sauk River's water. She's been out here like 20-something years. That's all I have to say.
Linda Washington. I just wanted to say that I think it's really an act of hypocrisy what I heard tonight when the gentleman came and did his presentation in regard to the youth in the village bringing a program where they would do a play and would possibly do all these things for the youth. And when we have come before this board year after year asking you all to participate in a play the Neighborhood Watch did entitled Are You My Neighbor? We got absolutely no response from the board members at that time, and some of you are currently still on the board. Also, we asked you all this year, after a year going by, we're not doing anything to assist the single parents in this village with back-to-school book bags. It was declared by the mayor, none of the trustees but two participated along with the clerk to even help to provide book bags for these students going back to school. Mayor Burgess, you made a statement saying we will not be providing book bags. So now that you all have an open heart and want to invite someone in that's bringing in their own insurance, need a bus to bring students to transport them over to the community center to do a play. I heard a trustee say, what can we do to help you? What can we do to assist you? I'm all for it. I'm not against it. This gentleman, I don't know if he lives in the village or not, but we were trustees and elected officials and residents asking for help from our mayor and board and didn't get any help at all. I just think it's such hypocrisy. And I'm sorry that Pastor Pitts left. I'll have to go by and talk to him tomorrow. But after the prayer and the fasting and the crying and the ministers did, I was out of town at my stepfather's funeral. I wasn't able to attend. The ministers know why I wasn't at the revival. That social media is still full blown. They're still doing it, still putting up pictures, still talking about people, still writing stuff on that negative page, like the prayer was never mentioned, like the ministers never came forth and said we need healing in the village. So I will be taking copies of all of the latest things that your people are putting up, your friends, your family. They're continually writing on that negative page, talking about people, like the prayer and the pastors that were there from the local churches. I have a envelope full of stuff that they printed off today and showed me things they've been talking about. And it's just so childish. As I look at the campaigns on television and I see how the governors and different ones are attacking one another, it's still with some type of diplomacy.
1 minute.
It's still with some type of diplomacy. When I even see other elected officials in other towns that are running for office, whatever they're running for, they can attack that person's ability to serve in the capacity of whatever they're running for, but to call people stupid and put their picture up and try to distort their faces and just do stupid elementary things, it's just appalling for Sauk Village. That although you may not be doing it, it all reflects on you because it's happening in your village and evidently you don't have a handle on it. So I just think that some things that's done in the village where the residents try, although we try to impel and engage them to come to the meetings and to come to get involved, I do understand why they don't come, because if you're not in the inner circle, it doesn't matter how great your program is, none of you will support it.
Judy Cast. I get up here week after week and ask basically the same questions, and the same questions don't get answered, but I'm going to do it again anyway. I've asked over and over and over about operational transfers. Is the practice being used? It takes a simple yes or no, but nobody wants to answer it. I've asked week after week after week after bringing it up to your, let you know what was going on. I asked about the furniture for the police department. I'm not hearing anything. I look at our police officers and I look back to the years that I've been here and what I have seen in previous years. The clean-cut, well-shaven, well-groomed, proud, stand tall officers. Today, I see them. It's sad. They have a filthy station that doesn't get cleaned properly. They don't have a proper chair to sit on. And yet nobody wants to do anything. And if it's going to take going to the public media and starting a fundraiser, then that's what we're going to do. But I would like an answer. Are you or are you not going to start taking care of our policemen? The FOIAs. The reason FOIAs are coming in at a regular pace is because every time you ask a question, you don't get an answer. And I get damn mad. And then I'm going to send in a FOIA. And my FOIAs, months and months ago, I asked about the HR lady. You said, not a problem. I'll get it to you. I wanted to know about her resume, past experience, agreed upon hours, agreed upon wages, job description. You said no problem. Guess what? I'm still waiting. And that's shortly after you hired her. And nobody wants to answer that question. So I submitted a FOIA asking about a 1099. And it was denied. It was denied because of private information, personal information contained with public records, the disclosure of which would constitute the individual subjects of the information. It's an invasion of her privacy. But then at the very last sentence in your own paperwork, it says, the disclosure of information that bears on the public duties of public employees and officials shall not be considered an invasion of personal property. Therefore, I have alerted the state's attorney's office that I'm not satisfied with my answer for this because it is contradictory. And if you want FOIAs to slow down, start answering the questions.
Mary Escobedo, I'm here again to talk about social media because you all seem to think that it's a joke. And you, Derek, sit here and say that the public can't talk about your people, but yet your people are still out there on social media. And I know last time you threw me off the microphone, and I'm sure you're going to try to throw me off again because you don't want to hear what I say. But I'm going to be here every week talking about social media and how you should be doing something about it, and you're not. And it's being duly noted, everybody's watching the videos, how you're not doing nothing, you're not leading, you keep saying that you can't control them, and so they're controlling you. And so obviously it means nothing to you the way you're sitting there with your head down, shaking your hands or whatever. So, I'm just saying. And again, when you were running during your campaign, it was said that there was a boy that was going to bring you down. Yep. Here it is. You're coming down. And also, I just want to say, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Because the person that helped Joe Wizawati write this stuff, I don't think she remembers that she told me that her husband cheated on her. I'm going to leave that right there. Thank you.
That's it? As far as operational transfers, I did answer that question last week, every time it's asked. Operational transfers are transfers from one department to the general fund. In other words, each department has so much money that they are allotted for the budget. That money is taken out of their budget and given to the general fund because that's what the accounts payable are paid through the general fund. But it's deducted from their budget line item that they may have, whatever department, police department, fire department, public works, administration staff. So that's what an operational transfer is. I explained that before. As far as furniture, I've talked about the furniture. I cannot make someone do something as far as I've already extended to get new furniture, and right now what I'm going to do and what I said before, I'm going to bring all this information back to the board before we start doing and purchasing things so they can see exactly what it is and how much it's gonna cost. The FOIAs are being answered. You can FOIA as many times as that's your right to do that. I've never, said anything about, complained about how many FOIAs we get. FOIAs are FOIAs. We can answer them, we will. We cannot answer them, we will explain to whoever it is that sent the FOIA. 1099s cannot go out, that's personal business, that's like putting your W-2 out there. So that was the reason why that particular question was asked, that we can't issue someone's 1099 because it has too much other information on there. So that's something that we don't even control. I don't control disseminating anybody that works here W-2 form out to the public. So that's why that never happened. And outside of that, social media is social media. Comments from the trustees, starting with trustee Bernice Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The first thing is that I requested do I need the mic? And the reason why is because when I have to go back and listen to the minutes, it's very difficult to hear what you're saying, so I have a difficult time capturing everything for the minutes. Oh, I definitely want you to capture what I'm saying. Thank you very much. Okay, in response to trying to get some information about what's going on in the village, I requested detailed ledgers for TIFs 2 and 3. I requested that back September 21st. I did it verbally here, and I also sent a memo asking for the same information. So since I didn't get the information, I had to send a FOIA. The second thing I requested was a detailed ledger for the water, sewer, and utility fund. I also requested that back September 7th. I put it right here in the town hall meeting. I asked the question, put it in a memo form. They did not respond, so I had to respond to a FOIA. So FOIAs are out there. They're just, I guess, slow getting responded to. The second thing I want to talk about is operational transfers. Even though the mayor just spoke on operational transfer, I think the issue was, why is it that we have the impression that the funds are not to be paid back? Now, I wrote a letter to the attorney, Olson and Sturks, and of course they didn't answer the question. However, Ms. Suffin did. And she said, she gave me a bunch of her version of what happened, but I asked for something in writing from the attorney, which we haven't gotten yet. That's been 4 or 5 months ago. So we would like something from that state's operational transfer to say that we have to pay this money back. Because as I understand it, we haven't paid back the water fund in the last 10 years. Some of that money needs to go back to the water fund. I forgot my last train of thought. The issue about social media. Now, once residents and even myself and trustees come up and we keep talking about the same thing, it seems like somebody needs to sit down and talk to the mayor or the resident about this issue, because apparently it's something that's irritating them, and not only them, but when I say them, I mean residents, but other people who want the same answer. What can we do? Because we want to try to get along. You're talking about our monies, and we're trying to get along. So we want to know, what can we do as trustees and the mayor to put a nail in this coffin and try to resolve this issue? Because social media will be coming on, it's election time and there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going to come out there. We want to know, what can we do as trustees and the mayor to help us along? So, as far as operational transfers, we're still waiting for something from the attorney in writing. And also, I haven't got the detailed ledgers on TIF 2, 3, and the detailed ledgers ledgers on the water, sewer, utility, and utility funds. And I've been asking that since the September, around the 1st of September, and haven't got a response to it as of yet. So, with that being said, I would like answers to my question, because we as the trustees are supposed to be watching the money. We cannot watch monies unless we get some reports, and we're not getting any reports. That's the end of my comment.
Trustee Zupan?
I have nothing tonight.
Trustee Grant?
Thank you. I only have one comment. And Madam Clerk, thank you for bringing in the presenter tonight. I think that he definitely has some good ideas. And I would definitely love to see the village partner with him. If we could possibly do, for example, if we could have done a Christmas play or Easter play. I think that would have been very nice for us. Too late now, but I hope that in the future we can work with him and definitely make something happen for the community. That's all I have.
Trustee Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have a couple of things. A couple of weeks ago, I had advised you that I had sent an email to HR, and I CC'd you on it. And I've sent it twice, and I've yet to hear anything. So could you please have her answer the email within the next couple of days? I mean, I don't think I should have to send it 2 and 3 times, so. The other concern I have is the answering of the phones here at the Village Hall. I have gotten several calls, plus it's also happened to me where I will try to call into this Village Hall and no one picks it up. Now, it will go to a voicemail. Who pulls the voicemails? I've had residents tell me they've left voicemails, no one ever returns their calls. I was in here on Friday, and I happened to be in the front looking at ordinances, and several of the young ladies were sitting there and the phones are ringing and no one's picking that up. One of the things when it comes to customer service, and I've been doing customer service, that's what I did on my job. You can overlap. If you have a customer at the window, your phone is ringing, you ask them, can you please hold, answer the phone, get it where it needs to go, or ask them to hold and can finish conducting the business. This is a big complaint with our residents that they cannot get through to this Village Hall. And I'd really like to know who returns the calls from the voicemail. In fact, I listened to the voicemail message and it says it's the village of Sauk. Sauk is in Wisconsin. This is something petty, but it should say the village of Sauk Village. The other thing I noticed, because I know that we close from noon to 1. You can pick up your building permits from 10 to 2. Well, if we're closed from 12 to 1, how do you pick up building permits from 10 to 2? You're closed from noon to 1. So you may want to redo what the building permits and maybe 10 to 12 and then 1 to 2. Because if someone comes in and you say from 10 to 2 you can pick up this building permit, there's nobody here from noon to 1. But I know that you have some extra people. So if you have part-timers, are their hours 8 to noon and then 1 to 5? I'm just asking. I'd like to know what their hours are. I was told that you have an individual that comes in here at noon. Now, I don't know if she's getting paid, eats her lunch, and maybe starts at 1. And this was reported to me by a resident. So, these are my questions. And I think that you might want to look at as to how they're answering the phones. Now, I called in here actually yesterday. And a young man answered the phone, stuck me in hold real quick, came back and said the person wasn't in. So I happened to have a sheet at home, and I looked to see because I needed to get a hold of the interim finance director. So I dialed the number that I thought would go into that office. She was here. He said she wasn't. And I have a feeling that, and I've been told by some of our residents as well, they are told people are not here, when in fact they are. So I think when the young man answered the phone, he could have asked who was calling, and if he, I don't even know if he went to look for her, and I don't even know who he is. I don't know, I'm not aware that we had a part-time worker that was a male. So this is one of the things that I think needs to be addressed, because if we're here for the residents, you want to make sure the services that we're providing, they're able to get through to us. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. If you're available tomorrow, I will personally show you everything except for the, as far as the calling, I'm gonna find out about that, and then I get it back to people, with the residents, that is a problem. So when someone calls and leaves a message, that message should be answered. So I don't know the circumstances why the person didn't pick up the phone, but if a person left a message or left a voicemail, that voicemail should be answered by someone. So that part is correct. I will definitely find out about that. So, and yeah, we do have 2 part-timers, and the hours are staggered. And, but I will find out about that. And as far as the greeting is concerned, I will definitely find out about that, because it shouldn't say Sauk, it should be Sauk. I don't know how old that greeting is either, so I gotta find out about that.
So the email, just have the HR, she could please email me.
Okay. And you want, okay.
I sent it twice, it was probably a couple of weeks ago, I have not sent one since.
Okay.
So we could get through that, I appreciate it.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I have a couple of things. First thing, Veterans Day, on November 12th, here at 11 o'clock, we will have a program, and after that, we will have a refreshment. So all veterans are invited, and all residents are invited. The veterans will eat first, and then after that, the residents that are not veterans that are there will eat after that. We will serve the veterans first. Again, that's Veterans Day. The village will be closed that day, but the door will be open for the program, and it starts right here at 11 o'clock. The next thing I have is the Sauk Village Annual Christmas Parade. The Santa Parade will be Saturday, December 1st at 10 o'clock. Then we'll drive around in the community, and then around 5 o'clock, we will be lighting the tree, and Santa will be available for pictures. So it'll be around 5 o'clock. I'm not saying, depending on the weather, it may be a little bit before, a little bit after, but we're looking at Santa to be ready to be back here by 5 o'clock. So you can bring your cameras and take pictures with Santa, and then we have some light refreshments. That being said, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Moved by trustee Todd, second by trustee Brewer. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.